And I have to say, when I read this, I read it at work, and I cried at work. That was kind of embarrassing. It's a beautiful piece, and I feel like it's a piece that's really important for all of us to experience in this culture where death is something that's hidden away and not experienced at a personal level by so many of us. So our next reader is Christine Sutherland, and she is a healthcare educator and documentary filmmaker. She has worked for the past 17 years on her book, Dying in Good Hands, to help the public use the power of touch and palliative massage. Those of us afraid of dying alone and in pain will have our fears put to rest in reading this book. So please welcome Christine Sutherland.
Well, I was just a little excited when Michael called me in Nelson a few weeks ago to tell me that my story was successfully accepted to the Eden Mills Writers Festival. I put the phone on speaker and I ran out of my office and into the next office, the lawyer's office, and I asked him to repeat what he liked about my story. And then I toured the office, quite oblivious to whatever my friends' clients were at the time, that they would appreciate whatever he was going to say. And then I continued down the street of Nelson, giving probably the best PR in the center of British Columbia to the Eden Mills Writers Festival. And I didn't stop. Across the country, I told everybody in every gas station why I was coming to Ontario. I had the story that I submitted to the festival sharpened this summer. I wrote the story a few years ago, and it's the first story in my book, Dying in Good Hands. It is a story that has a theme undoubtedly about dying, which I think is a universal theme at best, that we aren't all going to have a baby, we aren't all going to have a family, we might not all have a job or a job that we love, but we definitely have a ticket. As one of the characters in one of my stories, Cease, said that birth is terminal. And so if you are here, then you are going out the same door as I will be. It's how we go out that door that has really fascinated me. So this summer, I had an interning student. Her name is Leela Rogers. And Leela asked to study with me. She's in her last year of studies as a massage therapist. And in June, we had torrential rains in Nelson, in all of the Kootenays in British Columbia. It was very, very wet. And distance from where I'm standing to across the river, a tragedy occurred in Leela's life. Her best friend and father and sister were swept to their death in a side of a mountain coming down in Johnson's Landing. So as I was driving across the prairies, my best friend, Jill, had her phone on speakerphone, and it was placed on the podium of my Rotary Club as Leela told her story. And I had coached her in August when she came to study with me about what to say. As you know, the whole world has seen pictures of this tragedy, but you have a personal story to tell about your best friend, Diana. And as I drove across from Winnipeg to Kenora, I was listening to her talk about what that was like to lose her friend, and especially that her friend was there in Johnson's Landing because Leela and her had been best friends since they were babies, and she had asked her to come back to Johnson's Landing. So I had this interning student for 3 weeks while I taught my palliative massage classes, and I decided to dedicate this reading to her friend Diana. And Leela and I had been feeling pretty smug about ourselves and happy. At the end of her last day with me interning, we decided to rename the new puppy that I had been given. And I'd been given this puppy on the eve of my my wonderful dog's death, the vet phoned and said, "We have a dog for you." I said, "It's got to be a Cairn Terrier." They went, "No, but we have the perfect dog for you." So Leela held on to this puppy for 3 weeks while I tried to look like I was a professional teaching. And it's that little fluffy thing in the middle of the lawn. So we only named her Sophia, and then we decided we'd name her Sophia Diana. So the story of Joe is a story about intuition, something that's a pretty universal theme also with all of us, how to act on that hunch and not let it pass you by. Joe. It is 8:30 on Sunday morning. I walk into Joe's hospital room, sweaty and energized from my morning run, and head straight to the bed. I look into Joe's eyes. They are eyes glazing over with the veil of approaching death. They are eyes not seeing, looking beyond the horizon of the festive, balloon-filled room. I touch his hand. "Joe, it's Christine. I'm here to give you a massage." I'm immediately aware of the extreme labor of his breathing. He is gasping for air. His lips are opening and closing, a reflex beyond his control. The muscles around his mouth are rhythmically pulsing, helping him to gather the air into himself. As his nostrils continue to flare, I ask his wife, Carol, how long he's been breathing this way. "All night," she says. She's sitting curled in a hospital chair, jammed up to the bed. Carol is a slim, attractive woman. She has dark brown, shiny, shoulder-length hair. She has a well-loved look. I have seen this breathing many times before. I've seen this breathing just before death. I have watched this panting and these lip-gathering movements bring small bits of air into dying lungs. In all my previous experience, this type of breathing continues for 2 hours at the most. It's an effort that seems to use up all the reserve of life force, gathering it up from the arms and legs into the very center of the person. I've seen this phenomenon 4 or 5 minutes before a gentle departure, but I've never witnessed 12 hours of Olympic strength like Joe's. As I start to massage Joe's temples, he involuntarily wrinkles his brow. His body is extraordinarily strong. Carol uncurls from her nest in the chair by his side and straightens up. "Joe hasn't drunk anything since yesterday," she murmurs. My fingers travel over Joe's neck muscles. They are fixed and rigid. He hasn't turned his head from that position since last night. I continue to rub the back of his head with tiny massage strokes along the bony ridges. I am increasingly aware of the urgency of our situation. I glance up at Carol's face and see behind her the faces of family and friends embroidering the hospital wall. In the darkness of the previous evening's visits, I hadn't noticed the colorful collage papering the length of his room. Joe looks young in the pictures. He looks like his 48-year-old self. I've never seen Joe standing as he is in all these pictures, walking, skiing, and boating. There are scenes from beach campfires, birthdays, and family celebrations of every kind. All these faces look down on his bed. In the photos, Joe looks very healthy, sandy-bearded with sparkling eyes. He exudes charisma and life. There are images of him on the beach with Carol. The way he holds her, the tenderness of his touch, shows all the love that he has for her. I can hear the children's laughter, see the love and safety he creates in protecting them, teasing and playing with them. There are pictures of people that I have met in this hospital room. They are dear friends who visited while I was massaging him. They would tell him stories of what's going on and share memories of their past adventures. They filled those nightly visits with their exuberance and boisterous laughter. In the pictures, Joe's hockey buddies and skiing companions look like they are a wonderful team, full of mischief and enthusiasm, their arms wrapped around each other in big bear hugs. Pictures of Joe and his brother show their closeness, the closeness of well-hatched plans, conspiracy over years of intimacy and fun. I lift the sheets from Joe's legs and show Carol his mottled blue, translucent skin. He's draped in graduated shades of dark blue to light purple from his toes to his hips. This is an accurate indication of imminent death. I know that Carol's midwifery background won't give her the same message, and I wonder what I should say. As I massage his cooling extremities, I'm reminded of the warmth and radiant heat of Joe's extremely good circulation. His feet and hands were always toasty. Carol circles around to Joe's head, climbs onto the bed, and lies down, nose to nose. I don't want to disturb them, but I have to speak up. I don't think Joe's going to be here for much longer, I say. He might be here this afternoon, but he won't be here tonight or tomorrow. She looks at me. I look back. You're the one to coach him. You're the one to help him along. Be sure to tell him you'll be fine, that he doesn't have to worry about you or the kids. He's given you everything you'll need, and he can let go. She looks at him and touches his shoulder. I say, are the kids able to come right away? I'm aware of the directness of my question. What if he isn't dying right this minute? What if it is tomorrow or the next day? I've seen these miracles in reverse. And what if I'm the fire caller of false hunches? Well, what's the worst that can happen? Someone might think I'm too quick to judge the situation. But I remember situations similar where I didn't speak up, and I still regret it. Maybe the kids should bring something to do here so they could spend the day or the night. Carol gets it. Should I call the kids? She looks at me. Now? I nod. Tell Joe what you're doing. She places her hands around his head. She speaks distinctively. Joe, I'm going to call the kids. Tell them their names, I whisper. Joe, I'm going to call Michael and Huddy and Katrina and Olivia and Jessica and Grandma. They're going to come and say goodbye to you. I love you. Tell them you'll be right back. She didn't miss a beat and continued in the same steady voice. I'll be right back, honey. I'm just going out into the hall to call home. Carol collects the remote phone and leaves the room. I wrap Joe's legs in warm blankets and start to arrange the pillows and sheets to massage his back. He's still warm and pink all along his back. I use long, smooth effleurage strokes to cover the full length of his back, from his lower pelvis up to his wide shoulders, out to his upper arms, looping around down his sides to start again. Carol slips quietly into the room and quickly climbs onto her familiar spot at the head of the bed. She curls her supple body into a cocoon and circles his head with her cat-like arms. She strokes his face, says that the kids are coming, and tells him in great detail how much she loves him. I slowly spread more coconut oil over his back and continue to massage him. How did you and Joe meet? Through friends at the ski hill when I was up here from the States. How did you fall in love? Oh, it's a wonderful story. And for the next 15 minutes, Carol relives their love story. She cries with every detail. At one point, she takes Joe's hand and wipes her tears with his whitening fingers. The instinct that she has for continually repeating his name must come from her years of breathing with women, one contraction at a time. She says, Joe, your 2 tears match my tears. I'm crying with you. I love you. I see your tears, Joe, and you can feel mine. I look over Joe's shoulder and see the glistening tracks of his 2 tears. But those 2 tears are a physical act, a natural reflex beyond his control. Those 2 tears signal the end. Then, as though summoned, Joe lets go. My hands are still slowly moving over his back in sweeping, comforting movements. The rhythm of the massage slows to match the pace of his body shutting down. Gradually, my hands come to rest on his shoulders, gently massaging the tension of his neck. His firmly contracted throat swallows to close itself. My heart leaps at the motion of his throat. I know we are there. We are at the gates, and they are swinging open. He's going now, I murmur. Carol calls to him. She calls down the corridor. She sweeps him along with her loving words, tells him that she loves him, that the kids love him, that he will be fine, that they will all be fine, that she will miss him, that they will all miss him, that he means all the world to her. She keeps caressing his face through his last movements and beyond, through the mist, high over the ridges and glaciers of that brilliant morning. Gone are the sounds of his breathing, the regular rhythm of life. Gone is the web and flow of his physical struggle. The quiet sets in. The peace spreads. It is a sweet sound, like a clear creek dropping into a tranquil pool. It is 9:30 a.m., and Joe has died.